Let's practice flute. Currently, Solo of the Month, the Facebook community, is working on Taffanel Andante Pastoral at Scherzettino. This month, January of 2025, we're working on the Andante Pastoral. Let's look at the middle part of this first movement, or the first part, beginning in measure 29, the poco più mosso. Now, it's great to practice the music away from the music as much as possible. So measure 29 and 30, it's really great to think of the E flat diminished 7. So if you have your Taffanel Andante Gaubert book, 17 grand daily exercises, flip to page 48, the very last measure. E flat, G flat, B flat, D flat. And let's just work that arpeggio. One of the things that I am doing on this to make it feel a little bit more stable is leaving my F sharp key down, not just on the G flat, but on all of those notes. It shouldn't affect any of those notes very negatively. So when I feel good with the arpeggio based on page 48, last measure, then and only then, and I'm going to turn to look at the music itself. Again, this whole section, this whole measure 29, I can leave that G flat or F sharp key down. I'll have to lift it up in measure 30, but that makes measure 29 feel so much easier and more stable. Then the next couple of measures will be based on the C sharp diminished, and you can find that on page 49 of the Taffanel Andante Pastoral, 17 grand daily exercises. Third line from the bottom, first measure. The one starting on the C sharp, E, G, B. Those are the notes we're about to play in the music, so we may as well practice them separately. And yes, I am pushing my pinky over to the C sharp key and pulling it each time I move from the C sharp to E. So let's build just that interval. You can oil up your flute by taking oil from your nose or forehead or behind your ear or wherever you might have a little of a facial oil. And wipe it between those two keys to help lubricate the keys so your pinky slides more easily. And just starting by the C sharp and E. Some people will prep the C sharp key, but E natural is a note that is negatively affected by not doing the real fingering. So it's great to practice the way you want it to be, which in this case I think is going to be real fingers. So let's add a note. C sharp, E, G, E, C sharp. Add the B. And then the octave. And then try the whole arpeggio. At whatever tempo makes sense for you. Then, when you feel good with that arpeggio, the technique necessary itself, apply it to that measure. So starting with the F pickup. Already gonna feel easier because I've established the patterns in my mind away from the music. So now I'm pulling upon already established patterns and just playing them, applying those already practiced patterns to the music itself. If you're playing from the My Pianist Pro app, close the app and reopen it, and you'll notice that there's some accidentals written above the mordents that weren't there before. Or if you're accessing My Pianist Pro for the first time after January 17th, 2025, you'll notice there's been some changes. So I worked with Yuho on making this a little bit more accurate as far as the way it is shown here. So let's go ahead and look at measure 34. We have a mordent above the B, and it will go to a C sharp. If you happen to be fortunate enough to have a C sharp trill key, so from your F key, the B flat lever, and then if you have another key above that, that's a C sharp trill key, You can, from a B natural, flick that one time and it'll go to a C sharp. If you are not fortunate to have that C sharp key, or if you choose to not have it, you can do the B, C sharp, B with the real fingers. It's not a huge deal to do it with those fingerings. Let's add the notes before it. D sharp, C sharp, B, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp, B sharp, sorry, B, C sharp, B, A sharp, G sharp. So D sharp, C sharp, B, A sharp, B, C sharp, B, A sharp, G sharp. Let's do that again. So this is the end of measure 33 into the beginning of measure 34. And my preferred fingering for those A sharps is the lever B flat fingering. Moving on, we have the arpeggio going up. If you were to simplify it, you could add a G sharp in front of it. G sharp, B, D sharp. And again, practicing your arpeggios makes playing the music easier. All right, and then the next measure, measure 35. Let's do a beat plus a note. So for measure 35, we have D sharp, C sharp, D sharp, C sharp, B, G sharp, E, C sharp, and the next note is a G sharp. So from the C sharp to the D sharp, because the mordent will include the accidental that we had, from a C sharp, you can hit both trill keys to get to that D sharp. That first beat again, or the first three beats technically, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Let's do it again. The next beat, 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. We have G sharp, F sharp with a mordent to the G sharp, so it'll be a quick flick of your pinky, E, C sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp. And yes, you can prep your pinky on the C sharp key, but the E's will sound dead or dull or stuffy. So I think it's better to go ahead and practice the way you want it to be. Again, the add a note practice would be great. Let's start with the C sharp and just go back and forth between the C sharp and the E. Add the F sharp. Sorry. Add the G sharp. So if you practice that as part of your warm-up, then it won't be so intimidating when we get here. Going back into the music, 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. Again, from the F sharp to G sharp, you don't have to lift your F sharp key. You can just flick the pinky. Great. And then beats 7 and 8 and 9 and 1. The and of 7, we have a mordent above the E, and that will go to an F sharp. So from the E fingering, you'll lift your first finger to use a trill finger for the F sharp back to the E. So that now we're in measure 36. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We have B, A sharp, C sharp, E, F sharp, E, C sharp, A sharp. I'm using my lever on both of those A sharps. The E to F sharp will be, mordent will be the same fingering we just practiced, lifting your first finger from the E. Four and 5 and 6 and 7, the next big clump. We have A sharp, G sharp, B, D sharp, E, D sharp, B, F sharp. So the D sharp, E, D sharp, real fingerings work best there. And then 7 and 8 and 9 and 1, the end of measure 36, F sharp, E sharp, G sharp, D, E, D, B, E sharp, which is finger like an F, F sharp. Going on, we just have arpeggios again. Again, you can leave your F sharp key down for this next arpeggio. And this one. The F sharp key won't affect either of those. Measure 38, we have F sharp, A sharp, and you can use your thumb B flat here. I find it a lot easier. C double sharp, which is finger like a D, and then D double sharp, which is finger like an E. C double sharp, A sharp, F sharp, A sharp. Let's think those notes. F sharp, A sharp, C double sharp, D double sharp, C double sharp, A sharp, F sharp. And measure 39, A sharp, C double sharp, A sharp, A sharp, still C double sharp, A sharp, and then it goes back to being printed as a D. So practicing a beat plus a note, or in this case, because we're in the compound, 3 beats plus a note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 a couple of times, and then 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. And then the next. 7 and 8 and 9 and 1. 7 and 8 and 9 and 1. And then maybe doing a couple of them put together, or a slur at a time, and then practice this section. There aren't any shortcuts to learning music, so go ahead and chunk it out with that beat plus a note and find success in those beats before you try to play all the way through this section. And then the section starting at that poco più mosso will be nice and lovely and flowy.